A very good afternoon, Team Zimbabwe, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And this afternoon, let us reflect on what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's Central Bank, the RBZ, posted that they have around over 200 million United States dollar worth of reserves which are being held home and abroad. And the incoming governor, when he spoke to the media, he indicated that they are holding up to 1.5 billion reserves at the RBZ in terms of gold, diamonds, and other precious minerals, and also 100 million hard cash at the central bank in United States dollars, and also offshore reserves of around 1 ton of gold. So this is very important, and we need to take a look onto these new revelations and see how rich is the nation of Zimbabwe when it comes to the assets held at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. This is very, very, very important to note, and we need to take a look onto this issue. So, President Mnangagwa today was the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe votes ahead of the expected unveiling of a new gold-backed currency by Governor John Mushayavano on Friday. The RBZ claims to have 2.6 tons of gold. So 1 ton is in the offshore, and 1.5 tons or so is in the nation of Zimbabwe at the central bank, and also they have 100 million United States dollars. So if you do the math, I'm not so sure about the prices of gold at this moment in time, but it's over 200 million in total reserves. So Zimbabwe is intending to launch this currency, and we need to try and find out how is this currency going to work. So it's very important for us to understand, Team Zimbabwe, that a lot is happening at this moment in time in the nation of Zimbabwe. And these are the pictures of President Emmerson Mnangagwa at the RBZ today. And as I said, they have 1.1 tons of gold, and also around 0.5 tons of other precious minerals. If converted to gold, then that amounts to around 1.6, which are in Zimbabwe, and we include another ton, which is it a ton? Yes, another ton which is outside Zimbabwe, that is offshore, which is which makes it 2.6 tons, and an additional of 100 million. So let us take a look on this whole issue about Zimbabwe. It's new anticipated currency which is coming. Probably tomorrow it is going to be launched, and we have a better understanding. For us to have a proper understanding of what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe, we need to take a look on a country like England, the former colonizer of Zimbabwe. Let us take a look on the economy of the United Kingdom and see how it is working. Let us focus on the Bank of England so that we have a proper presentation. So I'm not comparing this in terms of the sizes of the economies, but we need to take a look on a country with one of the most strongest currencies, which is the pound, so that we get to understand what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe compared to other countries. Zimbabwe is holding 2.5 tons in its reserves, and let us take on UK gold reserves. So despite having the 5th largest economy in the world, the UK is the 16th globally for gold reserves. So it's on number 16 in terms of gold reserves. They are holding 310 tons of gold for the UK, and these are held at the Bank of England. So this is very important when we are taking a look onto this issue, 310 tons of gold for the UK. And I think this is the vote, as you can see right here. This is the Bank of England's gold reserves vote, the photo which is right here on the screen. It also holds gold reserves for other countries, but for the UK, they are holding up to 310. In their history, there was a time when they held more than 2,000 tons of gold, but they had to sell. In the 1950s, they had 2,543 tons of gold, which is over 8 times the amount currently held. So if you take a look onto this chart, it's self-explanatory. In the 1950s, it was around 2,500. Right now, it's now below 2,500, and they've maintained this one. From the year 2002, they've maintained almost the same levels of gold reserves up to this day for over a decade now. Is it a decade? Yes, it's a decade. Over 2 decades now, they've maintained less than 500 tons. So the last time they had more than 500 tons or around 500 tons was around in 2000, and they dropped down. So taking a look onto Zimbabwe does have 2.5, whilst the UK does have 310. If you do the mathematics, you see that there is a very, very, very big difference. Can Zimbabwe sustain its own currency? Let us know that there is no confidence in the nation of Zimbabwe, which means the economy, the currency cannot be backed by confidence. And we have 100 million US dollars as the financial assets held by the RBZ. We also have 2.5 tons of gold. And if you put all that together, it's less than 500 million United States dollars. Can this government launch a currency which is going to be more sustainable, or which is going to survive with less than 500,000 worth of reserves? And we need some economists to come and try and explain to us. So let us try to find these questions. How much reserves do a country need for it to launch a currency? How much reserves do a country need to launch a currency? So we need to try and take a look. If you take a look on the UK economy in the 1950s, when they sold the bigger chunk of their gold, they were trying to protect the pound, which was losing value. So if you take a look onto the nation of Zimbabwe, it's difficult for us to ascertain if they are going to launch this successfully. For example, I can tell you, if you compare the United States dollar and you compare it with the Zim dollar, the Zim dollar will always crash because people trust the United States dollar more than than the Zimbabwean dollar. So now the people know that we have 2.5 tons, and people will know that this is less than 500 million. Or can the people trust to hold on to over 10 billion worth of money because of that? That is very critical and very important to note. For us as a country to fully operate, remember that we are having billions which are lying in mattresses, billions of US dollars which are lying idle in mattresses. And even if we go to the banks, we have some millions which are there in people's bank accounts. Can the people of Zimbabwe trust to convert their money from USDs to Zimbabwean dollar, given the fact that 1:1 Gijige failed in the past? And we have known reserves of 2.5 tons. Can we trust this? Can a billionaire in Zimbabwe, somebody who is a billionaire, for example, Strive, let's say Strive is worth 2 billion. Can Strive Masiwa, if you want to convert or to liquidate his assets into money, can he then be able to bank at least 100 million worth of United States dollars in Zimbabwean dollars? Yes, as an individual, he can do that. Mariake can be begged because Mariatinayo is over 300, over 200 million, but less than 500 million. But if we are many, can we trust this process and convert our money to Zimbabwean dollars? That is where we are going to have the biggest problem there. Oh, yeah, the explanation they are going to give. I hope and believe that they are going to open some questions so that they can be asked these questions and critically take a look onto those questions and answer them. So the major points to note are that when you are going to see this currency being launched, major issues to note are: number one, they are saying this structured currency is backed by gold. And how much gold do we have? Is 2.5 tons. How for how much? So you'd understand that the people of Zimbabwe do not trust the processes because they feel they're being cheated. 2.5 tons is nothing. I have compared with the United Kingdom, which is 16th on the list in a 310 tons of gold in its reserves. This is within a 2.5 tons. So Team Zimbabwe is almost something else. Remember, last year we were told about 35 tons dzakadeliverwa by a small company, a small gold company, gold buying company, yakadeliver 2.5 sorry, 35 tons of gold. And these are very rich people vamuri kuona vachirasa mari kwese kwese. What about the big companies? This was a small company. What about the big companies which are operating in Zimbabwe? How much do they have? How much do they own? Just imagine if the government of the Republic of Zimbabwe had invested in mining itself, if they had their own mines, and if they were mining gold per month, vachiwana a better tonnage, or per year, raising around 50 tons per year, we were going to have more reserves for ourselves. But mining is being done by individuals. That is the problem we have in Zimbabwe. Mining is being done by individuals, and all those profits, all those benefits are going into the pockets of individuals, and Zimbabwe is getting a little from all that, and that is the problem we have. So we'll continue to watch and see how they are going to deal with this matter, how they are going to successfully launch this currency. But today we are talking about the reserves at the RBZ. They are 2.5, and they also have 100 million United States dollars in cash. That is the money. Those are the assets they wish to back our currency with. Will that work? We'll hear tomorrow kuti zvine zvakamira sei, and we'll come back and try to unpack kuti ivo vanenge vati chii versus the reserves dzavataura nhasi, so that we get to understand how this is going to work and how we are going to be able to walk into any bank, withdraw our money, or change our money into foreign currency when we want to send it abroad. It is going to be a very interesting moment. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for the support. Please keep on